2018, 734,704 senior high school students have graduated, moving on to the next chapter of their lives. They were the first official batch to go through 6 years of high school, thanks to the K-12 education reform. But let's hit that rewind button for a while. Where did this all begin? This is Patricia Kahanap, and you are watching The Pioneers.
Simula po sa araw na ito, mabibigyan na natin ang kabataan ng mas magandang pagkakataon upang matuto at makasagap ng kaalaman. Nagtitipon po tayo upang ilunsad ang isang programang magbabago sa sistemang pang-edukasyon ng bansa, ang K-12 Basic Education Program.
On April 4, 2012, the late President Benigno Aquino III formally launched the K-12 curriculum. More than a year later, the new system was set in stone through the K-12 Act, or the Republic Act 10533. The law laid out major changes in Philippine education as we know it. Prior to the implementation of K-12, learners could skip preschool and go straight to the first grade. But now, all 5-year-old children must go through kindergarten. The Department of Education says that age 5 is within the critical years in a child's life, where good experiences must be fostered to ensure school preparedness. K-12 also integrated mother tongue, or the use of local languages in elementary education. For kindergarten and the first 3 years of grade school, instruction, teaching materials, and assessment shall be in the regional or native language of the learners. During grades 4 to 6, Filipino and English shall be gradually introduced as languages of instruction.
We wanted every student to start with a language that they are familiar and comfortable with, what they use at home. So, kung Batanggenyo ako, gagamitin ko yung Tagalog ng mga Batanggenyo para yung mga kabataan, pagpasok sa eskwelahan, naiintindihan kaagad. No? Hindi foreign language ang gagamitin. No?
But what is arguably the biggest change brought by K-12 is the addition of 2 more years in secondary education. After elementary school, students must go through 4 years of junior high school and 2 years of senior high school. During senior high school, students can pick between different tracks that are tailored depending on their plans after high school. These include disciplines such as academic, technical vocational livelihood or TVL, sports, and arts and design. While K-12 was considered as the legacy of the Aquino administration, he wasn't the first to introduce this change. Through Republic Act 9155, the Arroyo administration encouraged local initiatives for improving the quality of basic education.
So, these were reforms that have always been advocated by many administrations. It was started here and there, but never really completed. There were many aspects of it that were part of the law. So it also included several aspects implementing some of the legislations. But at the end of the day, we put together a what is now known as the K-12 reform that allowed every Filipino to have a full package that prepares them for college and for those who will not go to college.
The K-12 program was implemented to keep Filipino education at par with other countries. Before the new curriculum, the Philippines was one of 3 countries worldwide who only had 10 years of basic education, together with Angola and Djibouti. The late President Aquino compared the 10-year basic education curriculum to force feeding. He says that students should be given enough time to process information taught to them. And with the former curriculum, that might be harder to do.
Di po ba may kukumpara ang 10-year basic education program sa force feeding? Bibigyan ka ng 10 taong upang isubo, nguyain at ipasok sa iyong sistema ang mga leksyon Wala pong pagkakataon ng kabataang namnamin ang kaalaman. Talagang subo lang ang subo, subo lang ang subo. Ang resulta, hindi napoproseso na mabuti ang impormasyon. Hindi nabibigyan ng sapat na konteksto, hindi na ipapaliwanag ang implikasyon sa kalakang buhay ng Pilipino. Kaya nga minsan po, pasok sa isang tenga, labas sa kabila. Ilang araw lang, nalimot na ang mga natutuhan.
But more than that, K-12 was built to prepare students for a life outside basic education. The reform makes sure that high school graduates are ready, whether they decide to go to college, get a job, or open a business of their own. Under the new curriculum, students are expected to enter junior high school at 12 years old and senior high school at 16 years old. This way, they are able to complete basic education at the age of 18. Thus, the 2 additional years in high school are expected to help students adjust into adulthood, no matter what path they choose to take after graduation. But the K-12 program is not without its critics. In fact, in 2016, several petitioners have filed a temporary restraining order versus K-12 and asked the Supreme Court to declare the senior high school program as unconstitutional. Some groups have also cited their concerns with the education reform, including the displacement of workers, the possible effect on dropout rates, among others. Severo Brillantes, counsel for parents and teachers from the Manila Science High School, claimed that DepEd Order 31 was issued while Congress was still discussing the K-12 Act, so it should have no legal effect. He also said that parents and teachers were not consulted before the order was issued. Although, according to Luistro, thousands of town hall meetings were conducted prior to the implementation of the new curriculum. These were attended by school administrators, teachers, students, and parents across the country.
We just went through town hall meetings over and over and over again. We must have had 3,000 to 4,000 of those town hall meetings. May national, may sectoral, may regional, all the way. Every school had their own town hall meetings. We had opposition as early as day one. We had opposition when we left the office. But because we continuously held those dialogues, public school, unions, students, rallies, the reform continued. Thankfully, and we were able to address all that. I don't think the criticism stopped, but that neither did they stop the actual implementation of K-12.
In the end, the Supreme Court asserted that the K-12 is allowable under the Constitution. They said that the Enhanced Basic Education Act was an exercise of the country's police power, and that the court is not liable for any problem that may result from the policy. It has now been 5 years since senior high school has been integrated to the basic education system, and the Department of Education is expected to come up with the latest version of the K-12 curriculum by the end of this year. But how effective has it been in preparing students for the bigger world outside school? How did it affect school administrators and teachers across the country? We will answer those questions here in The Pioneers, keeping up with the trailblazers of K-12, one episode at a time. Hit that subscribe button and follow us on our social media to stay tuned.